Did you know that northern Arizona was once home to the tallest mountain in what is now the contiguous United States? A mountain so tall that it rose nearly 2,000 feet above Mount Whitney, which is currently the tallest mountain in the lower 48? These are the San Francisco Peaks, and they are all that remain of what was once a 16,000-foot stratovolcano. The San Francisco Peaks are located on the Colorado Plateau, where they tower more than 5,000 feet above the city of Flagstaff, Arizona. They are comprised of six major summits, all of which stand above 11,000 feet, and they form a sort of horseshoe shape facing the northeast. The tallest of the mountains is Humphreys Peak, which, standing at 12,637 feet, is the tallest mountain in all of Arizona. But while the current San Francisco Peaks are undoubtedly impressive, they're visible from more than 100 miles away, they once stood much higher than they do today. You see, the peaks are all that remain of San Francisco Mountain, a stratovolcano that once stood roughly 16,000 feet tall. It formed as the result of a series of eruptions that occurred between 1 million and 400,000 years ago, and this rough sketch shows what it may have looked like at its highest point. But then, sometime between 400,000 and 92,000 years ago, the summit of San Francisco Mountain catastrophically collapsed toward the northeast, forming this basin that we see in the middle of the peaks today. There are currently two primary theories as to why San Francisco Mountain experienced this catastrophic collapse. The first is that the volcano experienced a so-called lateral eruption, where it erupted out of its northeast side. This theory became popular following the notorious 1980 eruption of Mount St. Helens in Washington state. This time-lapse shows that Mount St. Helens erupted out of its northern side, causing the summit of the mountain to collapse. However, despite the apparent similarities between the current shapes of the two volcanoes, geologists have never actually found any evidence of an eruption associated with the northeast collapse of San Francisco Mountain. Since we've never found any evidence of an eruption, another theory is that San Francisco Mountain experienced a cold collapse, which simply means that there was no eruptive event associated with the collapse of the summit. This theory is plausible, as scientists have identified other stratovolcanoes around the world that have grown unstable and subsequently partially collapsed. Furthermore, recent attempts to reconstruct the summit of San Francisco Mountain suggest that the structure of the volcano was inherently unstable. One study believes that San Francisco Mountain may have been comprised of two separate vents, like we can see in this rendering here, as opposed to a more stable single symmetrical vent, and this may have facilitated a cold collapse of the mountain. But regardless of what actually caused the collapse of San Francisco Mountain, the end result was the same, and that was the creation of the inner basin,